or
I'm saying from my
102.7
end,
FM,
I
the
just
pride of the
want
people.
to continue the next papers.
Okay, okay. How many papers are you using?
Maybe 4 or 5, but continuation, video, so
Even
everybody, so no, I can just mention 3. Just mention 3. Can you introduce them?
okay. A very good morning to you and welcome to another edition of In the Papers, a newspaper review program on iPower 2.7 FM, Emurile Owo, Ondo State. I am ABDULRASAQ Alawai and with me is
Florence Ibarema.
and today we'll be going through various newspapers in Nigeria. We have the Punch newspaper, the Cable newspaper, and the Daily Post newspaper. And my colleague is with.
I have This Day newspaper, Daily Post newspaper, The Guardian newspaper, and Tribune newspaper.
And yes, we'll go on a short break. When it comes back, we'll give you details of the headlines. When it comes back, that's what I do. You are still listening to In the Papers, a newspaper review program on iPower 2.7 FM, Emurile Owo, Ondo State. Starting from my side with the news coming from the Nation newspaper, where I have APC. I will maintain dominance in Ondo State, says Ayedatawa.
Also, I have with me from the Hope newspaper where it says Jam panel uncovers 190 AI cheats in 2025 UTME.
Moving still on the Nation newspaper, where I have Literate Population Foundation of Opportunity, says First Lady.
Also, still on the Hope newspaper where I have FCT doctors declare strike over frequent snake bites in hospitals.
Still on the Nation newspaper, where I have this headline coming through your hair, we have Let's not toy with oil sector, says Minister cautioned the unions.
Still on the Hope newspaper where I have Obi will not have the 2027 ticket, says Helpis Arabambi.
ADC working to rescue Nigerian from Tinubu-led anti-democratic force, says Atiku.
And still on the Hope newspaper, I have with me ECOWAS Lassa Fever Conference begins in Abidjan.
Still on the Daily Post newspaper, where I have this headline coming through your ear, we have Wiki appoints FCTA acting head of service after Grace Adailo's death.
And a straight drive to the Punch newspaper, where I have Nupeng short depot as FG Dangote talk drugs.
Still reading from the Daily Post newspaper, where I have Tinubu may soon borrow from Ope or Money Point, says Dino Milai.
And still on the Punch newspaper, where I have El-Rufai ADC leaders shown police invitation.
Still picking headline from the Daily Post newspaper, where I have reps react to discovery of body found at the National Assembly complex.
And still on the Punch newspaper, where I have APC supports lawmaker challenging Makinde's 300 billion loan approval.
Moving straight to the Tribune newspaper, where I have Fubara lawmakers warm up for return as Tinubu orders IBAS to prepare handing over notes.
And still on the Punch newspaper, I have with me North rallies voters as South tops the pre-registration list.
And lastly, from the Daily Post newspaper, where I have Nigerian South Africa is a must-win duel amid controversial points deduction course.
And still on the Punch newspaper, I have retired soldiers and protest as federal government promises entitlement payment.
And with that, we'll go on a short break. When we comes back, we'll give you details of the stories in full. Let me start with with the one on the story. And starting strong from the Nation newspaper, where I have Ondo story coming through your ear, we have APC I all maintain dominance in Ondo. Now to the detail of the story. Ondo State Governor Lucky Orimisan Ayedatiwa has urged members of All Progressive Congress (APC) in the state to unite, intensify grassroots mobilization, and canvass more supporters in preparation for the 2027 general election in support of President Bola Tinubu. The governor made the appeal during the weekend at an expensive stakeholders meeting at the party in Akure, where he also briefed the party leaders on his administration development, achievements, and ongoing plans. According to Ayedatewa, the Renewed Hope initiative of President Tinubu is designed to strengthen the grassroots base of the APC with a target of registering at least 1,000 new members in each ward across the state. He said, and I quote, "This is our party and it is our collective responsibility to make it stronger. The Renewed Hope has been structured to build the party from the grassroots, and our target is nothing less than 1,000 new members per ward." He then further, we must mobilize, we must organize, and we must be consistent in our engagement. Regular stakeholders meetings such as these are meant to keep us unified, informed, and ready to the future, he said. On his administration development stride, the governor disclosed that the efforts were ongoing to attract major investors in the state to revamp the economy. For more information on this story, check the Nation newspaper with the headline APC I all maintain dominance in Ondo State.
And with me from the Hope newspaper, I have JAM panel uncovers 190 AI cheat in the UTME. The Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAM, is grappling with a new wave of technological advanced examination fraud, as its Special Committee on Examination Infractions has exposed widespread of malpractice, including 190 cases of AI assisted cheating in 2025 Unified Tertiary Examination. The committee, which was inaugurated on August 18, presented its findings to JAM Registrar Professor Isiaq Oloyede, revealing how sophisticated technology is being used to undermine the integrity of nation's admission process. According to the chairman of the committee, Dr. Jake Epelem, the JAM investigation uncovered 192 instances of AI-assisted impersonation through the image mopping and a staggering 4,251 cases of finger bending. Epele described the current state of malpractice as highly organized, technological driven, and dangerously normalized. He expressed concern that parents, tutor centers, schools, and even computer-based test CBT operators are complicit in the fraud, while weak legal framework makes prosecution difficult. For details of the story, see the Hope newspaper with the headline.
Moving straight away to the Daily Post newspaper, where I have Tinubu may soon borrow from OP or Money Point, says Dino Melaye. Now to the detail of the story. Former Kogi State West Senator Dino Melaye has decreed the rate of borrowing by President Bola Tinubu. Melaye said Tinubu may soon borrow from Nigeria's leading fintech companies, OP and Money Point, if care was not taken. He was reacting to this concern raised by the Speaker of House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, over the rate of foreign loan by Tinubu's administration. Featuring on Arise Television Prime Time on Monday night, Melaye said, and I quote, "Why is the president borrowing $1.7 billion from the World Bank? Why has the Senate approved $21 billion so far, with many other coming for consideration? This government is one of the most reckless governments in the history of this country. The president, who said he wanted to come and curb wastage, bought a yacht. That yacht the president bought has never been on the territorial area of Nigeria, and it is between Monaco and Paris. Why do we need a yacht in time of this In time of these persuasive hunger like this, the president also within a few months of being in office bought a presidential jet that cost billion dollars. To get more information on this story, check the Daily Post newspaper with the headline Tinubu may soon borrow from Ope. Money Point says Dino Melaye.
I'm still on the Hope newspaper where I have FCT doctors declare strike over frequent snake bites in hospitals. Now the details. The Association of Resident Doctors ARD in the Federal Capital Territory says public hospitals in the nation's capital have been overtaken by snakes and other reptiles. The president of the ARD-FCT, George Ebong, made the claim while addressing journalists on Monday. According to him, doctors in Abuja are dying from snake bites. It was gathered that ARD-FCT declared a 7-day warning strike over poor working conditions, remuneration, and other demands. Ebong said that the shutdown would remain until the FCTA met its demand. It revealed that doctors are mentally sick over poor working conditions. He said, and I quote, it is all and one shutdown for 7 days. All our demands must be met before we will resume. We have been believing them for the past years with nothing done. Our hospitals were affected by snakes. Some doctors died from snake bite. For details of this story, City Hope newspaper with the headline FCT doctor declares strike over frequent snake bite in hospitals.
Still reading from the Daily Post newspaper where I have this story coming through. We have reps react to the discovery of body found at the National Assembly complex. Now to the detail of the story. The House of Representatives has clarified reports regarding the discovery of an unidentified body near the National Assembly complex. Daily Post reports that the body of the deceased was found inside a red Peugeot 406 car parked near the Annex building gate, close to the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Rep. Akin Rotimi Jr., spokesman for the House, said the clarification followed the official report from the Nigerian Police Force, the lead investigative authority on the case. He added that the House aimed to keep the public accurately informed to prevent speculations. Rotimi quoted the Divisional Police Officer (DPO) of the National Assembly Division, stating that the deceased, believed to be laborer at a construction site within the complex, was found around 9 a.m. inside the vehicle. For more information on the story, check the Daily Post newspaper with the headline Reps react to the discovery of body found at the National Assembly complex.
And still reading from the Hope newspaper where I have Obi will not have 2027 ticket, says LP's Arabambi. Now the details. The Labour Party's National Publicity Secretary Abayomi Arabambi has declared that the former presidential candidate Peter Obi will not secure the party's ticket for the 2027 elections. Recall Obi during the recent August by-election had advised his followers to vote for candidates of the African Democratic Congress, which he aligned with but not officially joined. Although the former Anambra governor said his admonition stemmed from the absence of LP candidates across the country, the party debunked the statement as false and anti-party. Speaking on the television's lunchtime politics program on Monday, Arabambi said that the LP could survive without Obi. He insisted that the momentum the party enjoyed in 2023 was driven more by the EndSARS movement and the public discontent with the Buhari administration than Obi's personal influence. For details of the story, see the Hope newspaper with the headline Obi will not have our ticket for 2027, says LP Arabambi.
And yes, you can connect with us and join us on our live by calling us on this number to share your perspective or your opinion on the program on 081 Moving on with the story coming from the Daily Post newspaper, where I have Wike appoints FCTA acting head of service after Grace Adayilo's death. Now to the detail of the story. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nelson Wike has appointed Mrs. Nancy Sabanti Nathan as the acting head of service of the Federal Capital Territory Administration. A statement issued on Tuesday by Wike's media aide, Larry Olayinka, said Sabanti will be functioning in the acting capacity pending the appointment of a substantive head of service. The office became vacant following the death of Miss Grace Adailos, who passed away on Monday last week. Until her appointment, Mrs. Nancy Sabanti Nathan was the Permanent Secretary, Youth Development Secretary of the FCTA. She had served as the Director of Finance and Administration in the office of the Honorable Minister of FCT before her appointment as the Permanent Secretary. The appointment, according to the statement, take immediate effect. For more information on this story, check the Daily Post newspaper with the headline Wike appoints FCTA acting head of service after Grace Adayilo's death.
You're still listening to iPod 102.7 FM, and the program is In the Papers. We'll go on a break. When we come back, we'll continue with the rest of the stories. Don't go away. Glad to have you back, and of course, you're still listening to iPod 102.7 FM, and the program is In the Papers. For feedback, comment, and suggestions, you can reach us on 0816 552 4699. 0816 552 4699. And straight to the story I have with me from the Punch newspaper, which reads, Nopeng shorts depot as FG Dangote talks drag. Now the details. Talks between representatives of the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and the leadership of the National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers dragged on for several hours on Monday night, despite the role played by the federal government through the Ministry of Labour, Employment and Productivity for reconciliation. This came as officials of Nopeng paralyzed fuel loading activities across petroleum depot nationwide on Monday as they kicked against Dangote's petroleum refineries' alleged ban on workers' unionism. The meeting, involving all the party, which was held at the conference room of the Ministry of Labour, lasted several hours, despite plans for both parties to immediately sign a memorandum of understanding to put an immediate end to the ongoing conflict. The meeting had in attendance the National Executive of Nopeng and the officials of the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress. Also present was the Executive Director, Distribution System, Storage and Retailing Infrastructure of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authorities, as well as a representative of the Dangote Group and MRS Petroleum. For details of this story, see the Punch newspaper with the headline, Nopeng shorts depot as FG Dangote talks drag.
And similarly from the Nation newspaper, where I have, let's not toy with oil sectors, Minister cautioned unions. Now to the detail of the story. The federal government reminded the National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, Nopeng, leaders and Dangote Group management that the oil industry was too vital to the nation's economy to be subjected to industrial unrest or corporate policies that threaten peace and stability. I said, and I quote, the oil industry is not a sector that we play with. It is very important to the economy of our country and to our people, the government said before a truce meeting it convened to broker peace with the party went into a closed-door session in Abuja. Labour and Employment Minister Muhammad Danyadi and Minister of State for Labour in Keiruka Onyejuasha led the government's team to the meeting, which as of 11:30 p.m. was still ongoing. During the proceeding, a Labour official came out to inform reporters that there was no truce yet. He said while Nupeng insisted that the workers in Dangote refinery must ununionized Dangote officials said it should be made optional. A delegate to the meeting told a reporter that about 11:15 p.m. that the party initially agreed that workers at the refinery could unionize, but officials at the firm came up with a suggestion that it should be made optional. For more information on this story, check the Nation newspaper with the headline, "Let's not toy with oil sector, Minister cautioned unions."
And still on the Punch newspaper, where I have El Rufai, ADC leaders shun police invitation. Now the details. Former Kaduna State Governor Malam Nasri El Rufai on Monday submitted a petition against the State Commissioner of Police Mohammed Rabiu over what he described as unprofessional conduct, abuse of office, and serial violations. The petition was a fresh twist in the face-off between the leadership of the African Democratic Congress in Kaduna State and the State Police Command. The Kaduna Police had sealed the Kaduna ADC Secretariat last Thursday and subsequently invited El Rufai and other ADC leaders for questioning for alleged conspiracy, incitement, mischief, and disturbance of public peace in the state. Previously, members of the Kaduna ADC had suffered attacks by political thugs, with the ADC accusing the police of backing the thugs rather than as the police invitation. El Rufai, according to a statement on Monday by the media aide Muyiwa Adekeye, dragged the police commissioner before the police service commissioner. El Rufai in the petition alleged that the commissioner of police and some officials of the Kaduna Police Command had engaged in acts unbecoming of their calling since assuming office on December 30, 2024. For details of this story, see the Punch newspaper with the headline, El Rufai, ADC leaders shun police invitations.
Away from that to the Nation newspaper, where our Literate Population Foundation of Opportunities says, First Lady. Now to the detail of the story. The First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has said literacy lays a foundation on which nation progresses thrives. She noted that a literate population is the foundation of boundless opportunities. In her message to yesterday's celebration of this year's International Literacy Day, celebrated on Monday, Mrs. Tinubu emphasized that literacy in today's world include digital skills. She described this year's theme, promoting literacy in the digital era, as a challenge to empower the youth, women, and the underprivileged to thrive in a rapidly changing global environment. She said, and I quote, "As a lifelong educationalist, I believe a literate population is the foundation of boundless opportunities, and in today's world, it must include digital skills." For more details of the story, check the Nation newspaper with the headline, "Literate Population Foundation of Opportunities says First Lady."
And still on the Punch newspaper, where I have APC support lawmaker challenging Makinde's 300 billion naira loan approval. Now the details. The All Progressive Congress in Oyo State on Monday declared its support for Ibrahim Shitu, the opposition lawmaker in the State House of Assembly, who is challenging the approval of a 300 billion naira loan for Governor Sheyi Makinde. Shitu, who represents Shaki West constituency on the APC platform faulted their approval process, insisting that the loan was passed without two required two-thirds majority of lawmakers. He further alleged that he was deliberately excluded from the sitting where the approval was granted, describing it as a secret process. According to the crowd of party supporters during the peaceful protest in Ibadan, the state's APC chairman Olayide Abbas said the demonstration was organized to show solidarity with Shitu, who has reportedly received threats since raising the alarm. We are here to show our support for him for taking the bold step to stand against the loan. We are behind him. We are telling the governor not to plunge Oyo into perpetual debt, Abbas said, and adding that the party was dissatisfied with what he described as mismanagement of funds by the People's Democratic Party's administration. For details of the story, see the Punch newspaper with the headline, APC support lawmaker challenging Makinde's 300 billion naira loan approval.
And now to the cable newspaper, where Ab article says ADC working to rescue Nigeria from Tinubu's led anti-democratic forces. Now to the detail of the story. Atiku Abubakar, a former vice president, says the African Democratic Congress ADC coalition will be unrelenting in defending the rights of Nigerians. Abubakar spoke during the meeting with Aminu Tambuwa, senator representing Sokoto South, and Abubakar Malamin, former Attorney General of the Federation, on Monday. In an ex-post, he noted that opposition leaders are working to rescue Democratic Congress, to rescue democracy in Nigeria. And he said, and I quote, "We will continue and we will not be relenting in defending the right of every Nigerian being harassed by the anti-democratic forces of the Tinubu-led APC administration. The coalition that we are pushing is aimed at rescuing our democracy from the stranglehold of this emerging dictatorship. We shall be deliberate in joining hands in saving our democracy." For more information on the story, check the cable newspaper with the headline, ADC working to rescue Nigerians from Tinubu-led anti-democratic forces, says article.
And still reading from the Punch newspaper, where I have not rallies voters as South tops pre-registration list. The details. The northern states in the country have begun voters' mobilization as southern states continue to lead online pre-registration in the ongoing nationwide continuous voters registration exercise. The Punch reports that Kano, Kaduna, Yobe, Zamfara, Sokoto, and Ilorin, among others, are part of the states that had begun renewed effort to mobilize eligible citizens for the exercise. The Independent National Electoral Commission has announced that over 3.5 million Nigerians have completed the online pre-registration. The update was provided in a press release issued on Monday by the National Commissioner and Chairman Information and Voters Education Committee, Sam Olumekun. As of Sunday, September 7, 2025, a total of 3,544,850 Nigerians have pre-registered online in 3 weeks since the commencement of the exercise on 18th August 2025, Olumekun said. For details of the story, see the Punch newspaper with the headline, Northern rallies, voters as South tops pre-registration list.
Now reading story coming from the Daily Post newspaper, where Nnamdi Kanu's family rejects NCF amnesty appeal. Now to the detail of the story. The family of the detained indigenous people of Biafra, POB leaders Mercy Nnamdi Kanu, has rejected call by the Nigerian Consultative Forum, the NCF, for former President Bola Tinubu to grant him amnesty, insisting that Kanu is innocent and should be released unconditionally. In a statement issued by Prince Emmanuel Kanu on behalf of the family on Monday, the NCF proposal was described as reprehensible, defamatory, and legally indefensible. Recall that at a press briefing in Abuja over the weekend, NCF Chairman Dede Uzo and the Secretary General Dr. Frank Udemadu had urged the federal government to extend amnesty to both Abba Kyari and the former police officer facing drug and money laundering charges, and Kanu. For more information on the story, check the Daily Post newspaper with the headline Nnamdi Kanu's family rejects NCF amnesty appeal.
And still on the Punch newspaper, where I have retired soldiers and protest as federal government promises entitlement payment. Now the details. The federal government has assured retired soldiers that their entitlements will be paid this week, bringing an end to the week-long protest at the gate of the Ministry of Finance in Abuja. By 3 p.m. on Monday, the protesting ex-servicemen had quietly dismantled their canopies and disappeared after meeting with officials from the Ministry of Finance, the Military Pension Board, the Nigerian Army Welfare Insurance Scheme, and the Security Development Allowance Department. Leaders of the protesting ex-servicemen, retired Sergeant Ekundayo Alisem, confirmed that the government's assurance followed a closed-door meeting with veterans where veterans presented their grievances. Allison told journalists that the government had collected the names of those who had not received full payment and promised that the payment would commence before the weekend. They collected the names and they promised that from now till weekend they will start the payment of all and whoever that claimed not to have received some part of their payment, Allison said. The retired soldiers had been protesting the payment chart used to calculate their benefits. Allison explained that there was a discrepancy in the chart, with some retirees receiving payment based on July to December range, while others, including those in the veterans group, should have been paid within the January to June range. For details of this story, see the Punch newspaper with the headline Retired Soldiers and Protest as Federal Government Promises Entitlement Payment.
And away from that to the Tribune newspaper, where our Fubara lawmakers warm up for return as Tinubu orders IBAs to prepare handover notes. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll give you details of the story and more. You are still listening to In the Papers, a newspaper review program on iPower 102.7 FM, Emurele, Owo, Ondo State. You can connect with us and share your perspective, your opinion on the program on 081 6552 4699. 081 6552 4699. Still reading story coming from the Tribune newspaper, where Fubara lawmakers warm up for return as Tinubu orders IBAs to prepare handover notes. Now to the detail of the story. Bearing unforeseen circumstances, the suspended governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy Professor Ngozi Odu, and the 32-member House of Assembly returned to office on September 18. Indication that the suspended governor, his deputy, as well as the state lawmakers will return to office were raised last week after a closed-door meeting between the president and the sole administrator in the presidential villa, where Ibas was given marching order to submit a comprehensive handover note of his 6-month emergency rule before his 10-day vacation ends. President Bola Tinubu had on March 18 proclaimed an emergency rule in Rivers and suspended the state governor, his deputy, and the assembly for 6 months to douse the political tension between the governor and the former governor of the state, the current minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nelson Wike. The action of the president was aimed at addressing escalating political and security challenges in the oil-rich region following the increasing tension between Fubara and various political factions, including former allies like Wike. For more information on the story, check the Tribune newspaper with the headline, Fubara lawmakers warm up for return as Tinubu orders IBAS to prepare an overnote.
And straight to Daily Post, where I have Nigerian airline to face sanctions for flight disruptions. Now the details. The federal government has ordered that the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority (NCAA) to sanction any airline that disrupts flight without genuine reasons. The Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection at NCAA, Michael Archimugun, gave the order in a statement posted on X on Monday. Archimugun cautioned the situation where airline staff deliberately abandon passengers and leave the NCAA consumer protection officials to deal with angry customers would no longer be tolerated. While one understands the challenges the operation face in our peculiar operating environment, whoever ventures into this business must do it well. We must not always choose the easy way out. According to him, exposing NCAA officials to unnecessary risk while supporting airline and protecting passengers' rights was unacceptable. For details of the story, see Daily Post newspaper with the headline, Nigerians Airline to face sanction for flight disruptions.
Still reading story from the Daily Post newspaper as well. We have schools, markets short as insecurity grips 8 Castina local government. Now to the story, to the detail of the story. Governor Diko Rada of Katsina State has raised concern over the impact of insecurity in 8 local government areas of the state. I think we're called. Hello, good morning. Your name and where are you calling from, Fuza?
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from? We can hear you. What's your name and where are you calling from? We can hear you loud and clear. What's your name, please? Good morning, Beryl. How is Emurele this morning?
So what's your take on the program?
Okay, go ahead.
To take your note on that is Emureile. There's a comma there that has to do with Owo, is the local government we are referring to. Just take note of that. Emureile, then comma Owo. Owo is the local government there. Now going straight to the news we are having now. We have schools, market short as insecurity grips 8 Castina local government. Now to the detail of the story. Governor Diko Rada of Katsina State has raised concern over the impact of insecurity in 8 local government areas of the state. Speaking in Katsina on Monday during the launch of an 18-month European Union funded initiative on conflict prevention, crisis response, and resilience, he listed the affected LGAs as Jibia, Batsari, Dumasu, Kankara, Safana, Subawa, Faskari, and Dandume. Rada said bandit attacks, the communal clashes have forced the closure of schools and markets, displaced thousands of residents, and left farmlands abandoned. He said, and I quote, In these communities, children have been kept out of schools, parents have buried their children, and elders have fled their ancestral homes. There are unprecedented security and humanitarian challenges. For more information on this, check the Daily Post newspaper with the headline Schools Market Shut as Security Grips Katsina's Local Government. I think we'll have a call. Hello, good morning. Very well, sir. Thank you very much. Your name and where are you calling from, sir? Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. From where, sir? From over here. Welcome to the program. So, what's your take on the program, sir? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's why I try to clarify him is a Murele, comma, then Owo. Owo is the local government there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you very much for your take on that, sir. You're welcome. Now moving on with our story, we said the story coming from Katsina State. We have schools market short as insecurity grips aids Katsina's local government. Now to the detail of the story. Governor Diko Rada of Katsina State has raised concern over impact of insecurity in 8 local government area of the state. Speaking in Katsina on Monday during the launch of an 18-month European Union funded initiatives on conflict prevention, crisis response and resolution.
Instruct all callers to hear their opinion on news read alone. All callers should respond to news read alone. If the person is not responding to news, cut him off. You listen to me now. Cut him off.
How can it be said everything you can't talk to you say really or what? You are not calling for clearly you different from you.
Just feedback number. Don't go in
For your reaction on the stories read so far, you can call us on 081-655-24699, 081-655-24699. And please note, whenever you want to share your reaction or response on the headline or story read so far, you are only permitted to share your own perspective about the story. We don't have any opinion and any story that does not have to do with the story we are reading from the headlines or the newspaper we are giving to you from Nigerians and beyond. We will be moving on with the story. Florence, I think you have done that story.
Yes, and from the Guardian newspaper, I have zoning debate, a blackmail to weaken opposition, says Muhammadu. Now the details. Former presidential aspirant of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in 2023 general elections, Dele Muhammadu, has criticized the zoning of a presidential ticket ahead of the 2027 general election. Muhammadu, in an interview on Channels Television Sunrise Daily program yesterday, described the move as a tool to blackmail designed to weaken opposition parties. He said that the zoning sentiments were unconstitutional and deliberately targeted to reduce competition against the President Bola Tinubu. There is nothing in the Nigerian constitution that stops anyone, whether you are a northerner or a southerner, from contesting. This so-called sentiment is a result and reward of blackmail for some people who want to deliberately keep all other parties down, because they know that if you zone all other parties to the south, it will, in the presidency, none of them will be able to beat President Bola Tinubu, says Mohamedou. He said that zoning was being manipulated for favor of the ruling party. For details of the story, see the Guardian newspaper with the headline, "Zoning Debates, a Blackmail to Weaken Opposition," says Mohamedou.
And away from that to the Daily Post newspaper, where troops arrest 11 terrorists, logistics supplies, rescued 9 kidnapped victims. Now to the detail of the story. The Nigerian Army says its troops apprehended 11 terrorist logistics suppliers and rescued 9 kidnapped victims in nationwide operations in 48 hours. A credible source at the Army headquarters told the news agency of Nigerian NAN on Tuesday in Abuja that the troop also seized 114 livestock, recovered 1.1 million naira in cash, 1 pump-action gun, 4 cartridges, petroleum products, and other items. The source said that 8 suspected logistics suppliers of Boko Haram ISWAP were arrested July 7 by troops of 149 Battalion in Gubbio, Borno State. The sources also said the troop recovered 28 jerrycans and 4 drums of petrol concealed in shops and a POS central and a cash of 145,510 naira cash and 5 mobile phones. While in Katsina State, it said the troop of 17 Brigade fought a terrorist attack at Gideon Quarry village in Molamfashi local government area, rescuing 5 kidnapped victims as the terrorists fled. For more information on the story, check the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, "Troop arrest 11 terrorists, logistics suppliers, rescued 9 kidnapped victims."
And away from that, till the Nation newspaper, where I have government distribute 2.9 billion naira health materials. The details. The federal government has begun the distribution of essentials, maternal and child health commodities across the country. Distribution, the government said, is a part of its renewed effort to curb Nigerians' high rate of maternal and newborn death. Coordinated by the National Primary Health Care Development Agency in collaboration with the development partners, the initiative seeks to strengthen maternal and child health service and reduce preventable mortalities. In the first phase of the distribution, the 21 priority maternal and neonatal commodities, which kicked off yesterday, items valued at 2.9 billion naira were shared across 10 states. The Northwest got 60%, the Northeast received 34%, the North Central got 5%, and one state in the Southeast got 1%. The initial phase targets 8 out of 172 local governments within the selected state. For details of this story, see the Nation's newspaper with the headline, "Government distributes 2.9 billion naira health material."
And lastly, from my side, another story coming from the Tribune newspaper, where I have TUC issues 14 days ultimatum to federal government over proposed 5% tax on petroleum products. Now to the detail of the story. The Trade Union Congress of Nigeria has issued a 14-day ultimatum to the federal government to withdraw its planned 5% tax on petroleum products or face a total nationwide strike. The Congress described the proposed tax as an act of economic wickedness that will further the impoverished Nigerian already groaning under the weight of subsidy removal, inflation and battered economy. In a statement jointly signed by its President General Comrade Festus Osifo and Secretary General Comrade Nuru A. Toro, The TUC lambasted the government for what it termed as a deliberate attempt to compound the sovereignty of citizens. The union warned that it would not hesitate to mobilize Nigerian workers, civil society, and other progressive forces to resist the move through mass action if the tax is not immediately scrapped. He said, and I quote, "The Trade Union Congress of Nigeria outrightly rejects the federal government's planned 5% tax on petroleum products. This reckless proposal is nothing but an act of economic wickedness against already unburdened Nigerians." For more information on this story, check the Tribune newspaper with the headline TUC issues 14-day ultimatum to federal government over proposed 5% tax on petroleum products.
And also from my end, I have FLORENCE backs fresh mandate as Gymnastics Federation president. Now the details. Prince Kelvin FLORENCE over the weekend made history following his re-election for the third consecutive term as president of the Gymnastics Federation in Nigeria by delegates from 32 of Nigeria's 37 states and the Federal Capital Territory. The election held in Gwarimpa, Abuja was conducted under the watchful eyes of observers from the Nigerian Olympic Committee, international gymnastic bodies, and other key stakeholders. FLORENCE emerged victorious via an anonymous vote after he secured all 33 vote casts. Alhaji Muhammad Abbas Unwa emerged as the vice president, polling 32 votes. Also, election 4 board members representing Nigeria's 6 geopolitical zone were conducted successfully. The Secretary General of the Nigerian Olympic Committee, Tunde Popola, commended the Federation for conducting a credible and constitutionally backed election. What you have done here today is very significant, especially for the youth athletes we serve. For many of us, gymnastics is more than a sport. It's a passion, a calling, almost like a religion. It demands full commitment, and what we have witnessed here this morning was a commendable demonstration of the dedication, Popola said. For details of this story, see the headline, see this day newspaper with the headline, FLORENCE backs fresh mandate as Gymnastics Federation president.
And it has been a wonderful morning, Florence. It has been a very wonderful
very pleasant morning.
And please, in a quick note to our callers who has been calling from home and beyond, please, we want you to note that whenever you want to share your opinion on the program, please go straight to the point, and you don't have to do with anything apart from the news read on this story on this platform. We are just giving you news and from Nigeria and across. Before we go, let's recap the news headlines. Starting from my side, we have from the Daily Post newspaper, Tinubu Mezun borrow money from OPE Money Point, says Dino Melaye.
We read to you from this day newspaper that FLORENCE backs fresh mandate as Gymnastics Federation president.
We also brought to you from the Daily Post newspaper that reps react to discovery of body found at the National Assembly complex.
And from the Nation, we spoke that government distributes 2.9 billion health materials.
We also read to you that Wike appoints FCTA acting head of service after Grace Adailo's death.
Yeah, we spoke about the Guardian, where we said zoning debates a blackmail to weaken opposition, says Muhammadu.
We flashed to you story from the Tribune newspaper that Atiku ADC working to rescue Nigerian from Tinubu-led anti-democratic forces.
And we spoke on the Daily Post where Nigerian airline to face sanctions for flight disruptions.
We brought to you from the Nation newspaper that let's not toy with all sectors, says Minister caution unions.
Similarly, from the Punch newspaper, we read retired soldiers and protest as federal government promises entitlement payments.
And we gave you a story coming from Ondo State in the Nation newspaper, where we have Aida to says, I will maintain dominance in Ondo.
And still on the Punch, we read that North rallies voters as South tops pre-registration list.
We also brought to you from the Tribune newspaper that TUC issues 14 days ultimatum to federal government over proposed 5% tax on petroleum products.
Also, we read to you that APC support lawmaker challenging Makinde's 300 billion loan approval.
And lastly, from the Tribune newspaper as well, we brought to you that from Rivers State, Fubara lawmakers warm up for return as Tinubu orders IBAS to prepare handover notes.
Also, we read to you from the Hope newspaper where we have JAM panel uncovers 190 AI cheats in 2025 UTME.
And with that, we've come to the conclusion of today's edition of In the Papers, a newspaper review program on iPower 102.7 FM, Emureile, Owo, Ondo State. I am ABDULRASAQ Alawai, and with me is
Florence Ibarema. Thank you for listening. Good morning.